There's a phrase you've probably seen everywhere, on t-shirts, in gyms, across Instagram feeds: rise and grind. But let me tell you something. It's not just a catchy slogan. For the people who've made it big in America, for the self-made millionaires who started with nothing, rise and grind is more than a phrase. It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset. It's the daily fuel that built empires. Think about it. Every morning in the US, millions of people wake up tired, hit the snooze button, and drag themselves into another average day. But then, there's a smaller group, a rare breed, that wakes up with fire in their veins. They don't just rise, they rise with purpose. They don't just work, they grind with intensity. And over time, that mindset separates them from the pack. That's what builds millionaires. Let me tell you a story. Picture a young man in Brooklyn, New York. His family doesn't have much. He works odd jobs, selling CDs out of the trunk of his car, just to make ends meet. Most people would settle for what they had, but not him. He believed his grind was his ticket out. That man, Sean Carter, better known as Jay-Z. Today, he's a billionaire businessman, music icon, and a symbol of the American dream. But it all started with a rise and grind mentality when nobody believed in him but himself. Or take Howard Schultz. He grew up poor in Brooklyn housing projects, the son of a truck driver. No privilege, no inheritance, no safety net. But he refused to settle. He hustled his way into college, worked his way up in business, and eventually turned a small Seattle coffee shop called Starbucks into a global empire. That's the power of mindset. That's the power of rising and grinding when the world expects you to stay small. See, what separates millionaires in America from the average person isn't luck. It's not even always talent. It's mindset. It's the decision they make every single morning when the alarm clock goes off. They've hardwired into their identity that comfort is the enemy, excuses are poison, and effort, consistent, relentless effort, is the only way forward. Now here's the part most people miss. Rise and grind doesn't just mean waking up early and working until you collapse. That's surface level. Millionaires don't just work harder, they work smarter, but they never stop moving. They know the grind is more than just work. It's sacrifice. It's discipline. It's giving up nights out, Netflix binges, and lazy weekends because they see something bigger on the horizon. Think of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The man wakes up at 4 a.m. almost every day to train before a single business meeting or film shoot begins. He doesn't need the money anymore. He doesn't need the fame. But his mindset is wired for the grind. And that's why he's built one of the most powerful brands in America. The truth is, millionaires think differently. Where most people in the US see obstacles, they see opportunities. Where most people complain about the grind, they embrace it because they know growth doesn't happen in comfort. They know wealth isn't built in a day. It's built in the hours nobody sees, the sacrifices nobody talks about, and the discipline most people will never choose. And maybe you're thinking right now, but I don't have their resources. I don't have their connections. I don't have their talent. Let me stop you right there. Neither did they, at least not at the beginning. Steve Jobs started in a garage. Damon John, founder of Fubu and now an investor on Shark Tank, started by sewing hats in his mom's house in Queens and selling them on the streets. They didn't wait for opportunity to knock. They created opportunity with their grind. So here's the hook, the thing I want burned into your mind. Millionaires are not born. They are built. They are built in the early mornings when no one is watching. They are built in the relentless pursuit of a dream when everyone else is doubting. They are built in the grind that most people run from, but a select few run toward. And here's the kicker. You don't need to be a millionaire yet to adopt the mindset. You can start today. Every single person watching this video has the ability to flip the switch, to decide that from this moment on, you're not going to coast through life. You're going to rise with intention, grind with focus, and build the life you know you're capable of. Because success doesn't care about where you started. America is full of stories of people who had nothing, who rose up through grit and grind, and created lives that seemed impossible. If they can do it, why not you? This isn't about hype. This is about reality. In America, in 2025, opportunity is everywhere, but so is distraction. The question is, will you scroll, snooze, and settle? Or will you rise, grind, and build? This is the mindset that creates millionaires. And if you're willing to embrace it, your story could be next. So what exactly makes up the rise and grind mindset? What are the patterns of thought and action that separate the millionaires of America from everyone else? Let's break it down. Because once you understand these habits, you'll realize that success isn't magic, it's math. It's cause and effect. And if you can replicate the cause, you can create the effect. 1. Millionaires value time over money. Average people trade time for money. They clock in, they clock out, and they sell the most valuable resource they have, their hours, for a paycheck. Millionaires think differently. They know that money can be lost and made again, but time? Once it's gone forever. That's why they wake up early. That's why they guard their schedules like gold. They ask themselves, is this task moving me closer to my vision? If the answer is no, they cut it out. Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest men in the world, spends most of his time reading and thinking. Not hustling 24/7, not running from meeting to meeting. Why? Because he knows that how he spends his time is far more important than how much money is in his bank at any given moment. His wealth is a direct reflection of disciplined time management. So here's your takeaway. If you want to build wealth, stop wasting your time like it's endless. Protect your hours. Use them to build, to grow, to invest in yourself. 2. Millionaires focus on growth. Not comfort. Let's be real. Comfort is seductive. Netflix, social media, endless scrolling, eating junk food. It feels good in the moment. But comfort zones are where dreams go to die. Millionaires understand this. They don't chase what feels good now. They chase what feels right in the long run. They put themselves in uncomfortable situations on purpose, learning new skills, taking risks, facing rejection, because they know that growth only happens when you stretch yourself. Think about Elon Musk. Love him or hate him, you can't deny this. Musk has made a career out of stepping into discomfort. When everyone thought electric cars were a joke, he invested everything into Tesla. When people doubted reusable rockets, he poured his energy into SpaceX. That kind of boldness doesn't come from seeking comfort. It comes from being addicted to growth. Your growth will never come from staying safe. It comes from grinding through challenges that most people avoid. 3. Millionaires play the long game. Here's the harsh truth. Most people want quick wins. They want six-pack abs in 6 weeks, a business that blows up in 6 months, or wealth without the work. And when it doesn't happen overnight, they quit. Millionaires don't think like that. They understand the compound effect, the idea that small, consistent actions over time create massive results. Look at Jeff Bezos. Amazon didn't start as the global giant it is today. It started as a small online bookstore. But Bezos had a long-term vision. He reinvested profits instead of chasing quick money, and he built patiently. Decades later, his patience made him one of the richest men in the world. If you want to rise and grind like a millionaire, you need to see your journey as a marathon, not a sprint. Every rep, every hour, every late night is stacking up, even when you can't see it yet. 4. Millionaires take extreme ownership. Here's a mindset shift that will change your life. Millionaires don't play the blame game. They don't point fingers at the economy, their upbringing, or other people. They take full ownership of their lives. Jocko Willink, a retired Navy SEAL and leadership coach, calls this extreme ownership. He says that leaders, and by extension, millionaires, take responsibility for everything in their world. Got fired? They see it as a chance to grow. Business failed? They learn from it. Market shifted? They adapt. They don't wait for someone else to fix their problems. They take action. And here's the hard truth. As long as you're blaming, you're powerless. But the moment you say, "This is on me," you take your power back. That's when you can rise, grind, and win. 5. Millionaires build unshakable discipline. Motivation comes and goes. You can't rely on it. If you only work when you feel motivated, you'll never build anything great. Millionaires know this. They don't rely on mood. They rely on discipline. They set routines. They create habits. They commit to action whether they feel like it or not. Kobe Bryant was famous for his discipline. While others were sleeping, He was in the gym at 4 a.m. shooting thousands of free throws. That discipline, repeated over years, made him one of the greatest players in NBA history. Here's the lesson. Discipline beats motivation every time. And when discipline becomes your default mode, success becomes inevitable. 6. Millionaires surround themselves with the right people. Show me your circle, and I'll show you your future. Millionaires understand this better than anyone. They don't hang around people who drain their energy or hold them back. They surround themselves with people who push them, challenge them, and hold them accountable. That's why networks like Silicon Valley, Wall Street, or Hollywood are so powerful. Success attracts success. Being around driven people forces you to level up. So ask yourself, who's in your circle? Do they inspire you to grind harder? Or do they pull you back into mediocrity? If you want millionaire results, you need millionaire environments. 7. Millionaires think in terms of value, not just money. Here's the ultimate mindset difference. Average people ask, how much can I earn? Millionaires ask, how much value can I create? Because money follows value. If you solve big problems, you earn big money. That's why tech entrepreneurs, innovators, and creators become millionaires. They're not chasing dollars, they're chasing impact. Think of Oprah Winfrey. She didn't just build a talk show. She built a platform that inspired millions. The value she created in people's lives translated into wealth, influence, and legacy. So if you want to rise and grind like a millionaire, stop chasing paychecks. Start chasing impact. Start asking, whose life can I improve today? The bottom line, the millionaire mindset isn't about flashy cars or private jets. It's not about luck or talent. It's about habits, daily choices repeated consistently over years. Value your time. Chase growth. Play the long game. Take ownership. Build discipline. Surround yourself with winners. Create value. That's the rise and grind mindset. And once you adopt it, wealth stops being a dream and starts becoming your reality. All right, by now you understand what separates millionaires from the average person. It's not luck, it's not genius, it's mindset. But here's the next step, turning that mindset into daily action. Because here's the truth, success isn't built in a single leap. It's built in the grind, the routines, the small decisions repeated over and over. You don't wake up one morning a millionaire. You grow into one through disciplined habits. So let's break down the specific daily practices that American millionaires and high achievers rely on. These are the routines that can turn your mindset into momentum. 1. Own your morning. The day is won or lost in the first few hours. Millionaires understand this, which is why they build powerful morning routines. Most people wake up late, rush through their morning, scroll social media, and already feel behind. Millionaires flip the script. They wake up early, sometimes before the sun rises, and take control. Take Apple's CEO Tim Cook. He's up at 4 a.m. every morning. Why? Because he knows those quiet hours are his most valuable. He answers emails, works out, and sets his focus before the world wakes up. You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. to succeed, but you do need to design a morning that puts you in control. That might mean exercise. Even 20 minutes will supercharge your energy. Reading or journaling. Feed your mind with positivity. Goal setting. Write down your top 3 priorities for the day. Millionaires don't wing it. They set the tone early. 2. Prioritize the big rock. Stephen Covey, author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, taught something powerful. If you want to get the important things done, you need to handle the big rocks first. Millionaires live by this. Instead of wasting time on busy work, they identify the few critical actions that drive results, and they tackle those first. Mark Cuban, billionaire investor and owner of the Dallas Mavericks, once said, "Work like someone is working 24 hours a day to take it all away from you." That urgency forces focus. Here's a practical hack. Before you go to bed, write down the top 3 things you must accomplish tomorrow. Not 20, not 10, 3. Then, when you wake up, hit those first. That's how momentum builds. 3. Use the power of compound effort. The richest people in America understand compound interest, but not just in money. They apply it to effort. Reading 10 pages a day doesn't sound like much, but over a year, That's 3,650 pages, about 15 books. Investing just $10 a day may not feel life-changing, but compounded over decades, it becomes hundreds of thousands of dollars. Practicing a skill for 30 minutes daily may feel small, but over years, it turns you into a master. Millionaires ask, what small action, done consistently, will produce huge results over time? Then they lock it into their daily grind. 4. Protect your energy. Millionaires aren't just careful with time, they're careful with energy. Think about it. You can't rise and grind if you're drained, distracted, or constantly stressed. That's why high achievers invest in their health. They work out, they eat clean, they sleep intentionally. Richard Branson, founder of Virgin, credits his daily exercise routine with doubling his productivity. He once said, "I definitely can achieve twice as much by keeping fit." Here's a challenge. Audit your energy leaks. Are you eating junk that slows you down? Staying up late binging shows? Surrounding yourself with negative people? Cut that out. Your grind depends on your energy. 5. Block out distractions. Let's be honest. The modern world is built to distract you. Social media, email notifications, constant news. It's a battlefield for your attention. Millionaires understand that focus is their most valuable weapon. That's why they create systems to protect it. They block time for deep work. They silence unnecessary notifications. They delegate tasks that don't require their attention. Cal Newport, author of Deep Work, calls this the ability to focus without distraction on cognitively demanding tasks. Millionaires are masters at this. They know one focused hour beats 5 distracted hours. So next time you sit down to grind, don't multitask. Don't scroll. Go all in. 6. Embrace continuous learning. Every millionaire I've studied is obsessed with learning. They read books, listen to podcasts, attend seminars, hire mentors. Why? Because knowledge compounds. The world is changing fast. If you stop learning, you fall behind. Bill Gates reads about 50 books a year. He once said, "Reading is still the main way that I both learn new things and test my understanding." The average American spends hours scrolling TikTok or Netflix. The millionaire-minded person spends hours feeding their brain. That's the difference. 7. Take action daily. Even if it's small, here's the ultimate habit. Millionaires don't let a single day go by without moving forward. It doesn't matter if it's big or small. They just make sure every day has progress. Remember the no 0 days rule? It's simple. Do at least one thing daily that moves you toward your goals. Write 1 page, make 1 sales call, save $1, do 1 push-up. No 0 days. Over time, those small steps add up to giant leaps. 8. Reflect and reset at the end of the day. Millionaires don't just crash and repeat. They reflect. They ask, what worked today? What didn't? How can I improve tomorrow? This constant self-audit keeps them sharp. It's like a daily feedback loop. You don't need an hour for this. Just 5 to 10 minutes before bed to jot down what you learned and how you'll grow. That's how you turn days into data and data into progress. Putting it all together when you look at these habits: owning your mornings, prioritizing your big rocks, compounding effort, protecting energy, blocking distractions, learning nonstop, taking daily action, and reflecting, you start to see the millionaire grind clearly. It's not glamorous. It's not about Lamborghinis and private jets. It's about discipline, focus, and consistency. The millionaire mindset isn't just a belief, it's a behavior. And once those behaviors become your lifestyle, wealth becomes the natural byproduct. Up to this point, we've talked about mindset and daily habits. But now it's time to see how this actually plays out in the real world. Because theory is good, but stories are what stick. And the rise and grind philosophy has shaped some of the most iconic success stories in America. These people weren't handed millions. They weren't born with silver spoons. They started where you are, ordinary, broke, or even at rock bottom. And yet, through discipline, resilience, and relentless grind, they built empires. Howard Schultz, from the projects to Starbucks, imagined being raised in the Brooklyn housing projects, with no connections and very little money. That was Howard Schultz, the man who turned Starbucks into a global empire. As a kid, Schultz watched his father struggle with low-paying jobs. No benefits, no stability, just endless grind without reward. Schultz could have accepted that fate, but instead, he decided he wanted more. He worked his way through college, became the first in his family to graduate, and took a sales job. One day, he stumbled upon a small coffee company called Starbucks. At the time, it wasn't a giant. It was just a handful of stores in Seattle. Schultz had a vision, not just coffee, but a culture, a community, an experience. He faced rejection, doubt, and financial hurdles. But he kept grinding, expanding Starbucks store by store, city by city. Today, Starbucks is a multi-billion-dollar company, and Schultz is living proof that your past doesn't define your future. Your mindset does. Daymond John, from sewing shirts in Queens to Shark Tank. Daymond John, the founder of Fubu and a star on Shark Tank, didn't start rich. He grew up in Queens, New York, raised by a single mom. At 16, he started sewing hats and shirts, selling them on the streets for a few bucks. He worked as a waiter at Red Lobster just to pay the bills. But instead of giving up on his dream, he used every spare moment to build his clothing line. He and his mom even mortgaged their house to fund his business. Daymond didn't wait for investors or handouts. He hustled, grinding day and night. Eventually, Fubu exploded into a $6 billion brand, and Daymond became a household name. His story screams one message: hustle beats excuses. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need relentless drive. Chris Gardner, The Pursuit of Happiness. If you've ever seen The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith, you know Chris Gardner's story. But let's revisit it, because it's one of the rawest examples of grind in American history. Gardner was homeless. He had no money, no safety net, and a young son to take care of. He slept in subway bathrooms, shelters, and sometimes on the street. Most people would have broken under that pressure. But Gardner refused to quit. He landed an unpaid internship at a brokerage firm, competing against people with more education and resources. He worked harder than anyone, studying during the night, grinding during the day, determined to outwork his competition. That grind paid off. Gardner eventually became a successful stockbroker, then launched his own firm. From homelessness to multimillionaire, it's proof that the grind can carry you through even the darkest times. Sarah Blakely, from fax machine sales to billionaire. Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx, didn't come from money or Ivy League connections. She was selling fax machines door to door, one of the toughest sales jobs in America. But she had an idea: footless pantyhose that would make women feel more confident. She didn't have investors. She didn't even know much about manufacturing. But what she did have was persistence. Blakely worked nights and weekends on her prototype. She cold-called factories until one finally said yes. She pitched relentlessly, facing rejection after rejection. Eventually, Oprah featured Spanx on her show, and the rest is history. Sarah Blakely became the youngest self-made female billionaire in America. Not because she had a lucky break, but because she refused to stop grinding. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, from $7 to superstar. We all know The Rock as a Hollywood megastar. But before fame and fortune, Dwayne Johnson had only $7 to his name. After injuries ended his dream of playing in the NFL, he was broke, depressed, and living in his parents' small apartment. But instead of quitting, he pivoted. He trained relentlessly and threw himself into professional wrestling. He started with small gigs, grinding through long drives and tough crowds. But his charisma, work ethic, and never stop mindset turned him into one of the biggest wrestling stars in history. From there, he transitioned into acting, again grinding his way to the top of Hollywood. Today, he's one of the highest paid actors in the world. His brand, $7 Productions, is named after those humble beginnings, proof of how far the grind can take you. The common thread when you look at Howard Schultz, Daymond John, Chris Gardner, Sarah Blakely, and Dwayne Johnson, you see 5 completely different industries: coffee, fashion, finance, clothing, entertainment. But they all had one thing in common: the rise and grind mindset. They didn't wait for opportunity. They created it. They didn't let rejection stop them. They pushed harder. They didn't let their circumstances define them. They defined themselves. Your turn. So what does this mean for you? It means you don't need millions to start. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need connections. What you need is a decision. A decision to show up every single day, to grind harder than you think you can, and to keep going long after others quit. Because if Howard Schultz can rise from the projects, if Damon John can build a billion-dollar brand from a sewing machine, if Chris Gardner can go from homeless to Wall Street, if Sarah Blakely can turn an idea into an empire, if Dwayne Johnson can go from $7 to superstardom, what's stopping you? The answer is nothing, except your mindset. Take a breath and think about everything we've covered. We've talked about the mindset. We've broken down the daily habits. We've seen the real-life stories of Americans who started with nothing and built empires. And now comes the part that matters most, the moment of decision. Because all the information in the world won't change your life. Only action will. The truth about opportunity: here's something people don't like to hear. Opportunity is everywhere. In America especially, you are surrounded by chances to rise and grind your way to success. The problem? Most people won't take them. They'll make excuses. I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't have connections. But think back to Howard Schultz. He didn't have money. Damon John didn't have connections. Chris Gardner didn't even have a roof over his head. The difference wasn't what they had. It was what they did. They didn't wait for perfect. They started messy. They started small. And they never stopped grinding. Your defining moment right now, you're standing at a crossroads. One path is the same path most people take. Comfort, excuses, distractions, living paycheck to paycheck, wasting years waiting for a better time. The other path? The rise and grind path. Waking up earlier, grinding harder, building habits, taking ownership, betting on yourself, refusing to quit no matter how tough it gets. One path keeps you where you are. The other leads to your future. Which one are you choosing? The pain of regret. Let me ask you something powerful. 5 years from now, what will you regret more? Failing or never trying? Most people think they fear failure, but what they really fear, deep down, is regret. The pain of looking back and realizing they wasted their shot. Do you want to look back and wonder, what if? Or do you want to look back and say, I gave it everything. I built something real. I rose. I grinded. I won. No more waiting. Stop waiting for the right time. The right time is now. Stop waiting for the perfect plan. Clarity comes from action. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission. No one is coming to save you. If you want the millionaire mindset, you have to build it. If you want the grind, you have to choose it. If you want the life, you have to earn it. No one is going to hand you your dream, but you can take it. Your daily challenge: here's what I want you to do starting today. Wake up tomorrow and own your morning. Pick 3 priorities and attack them before anything else. Cut out one distraction that's been stealing your focus. Do one small thing that pushes you closer to your goal. No 0 days. Do that every single day, and you'll look back months from now and realize you've transformed. Not just your habits, but your entire identity. The millionaire within you, you already have everything you need to succeed. The grind isn't something you're missing, it's already in you. The question is, are you willing to unleash it? Millionaires aren't superhuman. They're just people who made a decision to show up every day, even when it was hard. They believed in their vision before anyone else did. And so can you. Your call to action, so here's the moment. If you're tired of excuses, if you're tired of watching other people win while you stand on the sidelines, if you're tired of wondering when it will be your turn, then stop waiting. Make the decision right now to rise earlier, to grind harder, to focus sharper, to commit deeper, to live hungrier. This is not just about making money. It's about taking control of your life. It's about becoming the person you were meant to be. It's about building a legacy that your future self will thank you for. So stand up, get moving, start grinding. Your millionaire mindset starts today. Final words: every millionaire in America who built themselves from nothing has one thing in common. They chose to rise and grind when others chose to rest and complain. Now it's your turn. Stop waiting. Stop doubting. Start doing. Rise, grind, win.